AFNE headquarters. I know that there are people all over AFN's training environment tuning in here, so we're going to get into some fun stuff today. We got a crowd with us today from various AFNs here in Europe. You can't really see them with the camera, but that's all right. They're here hanging out with us. So what we're going to talk about today is first some new features that Facebook has that will allow us to implement integration of our content and how this new kind of integration can help us reorient what we're doing with the content that we produce. And this is some new stuff. It's relatively new to Facebook in the way that it is evolved. And if people think that this makes sense, this could be something that really does benefit AFN, our institution as a whole. But that's not my big point. My big point is, in your community, you can use these features to integrate yourself into all of the organizations that are auxiliary to you, your MWRs, your local installation communities. We use this a lot with like our healthcare facility. Our garrison uses our content a lot through these features, MWR for sure. We have some Airmen Family Readiness Centers. And there's other organizations that we have these relationships with. So we're going to get into it. First of all, welcome. This is, I'm assuming at some point here you can see this screen. This is AFN Benelux, our awesome graphics screen, which soon, by the way, as all AFNs, will be changing to our 75th anniversary screen. But first thing is, this is about establishing relationships between pages. So it does make sense that your page will be establishing these at some point with other AFNs. But we've been doing this in our community for quite some time, and it has worked absolutely wonderfully. We've been able to integrate our social media content with different pages, different organizations in our community. So first thing, you need an admin to do this, because I'm talking about cross-posting. This is taking one page and another page, and only admins can authorize a relationship together. But what is cross-posting? Why isn't it just sharing? Well, let's talk about that real quick. I will not give you death by PowerPoint, I promise. But I will show you 3 PowerPoint slides because they're relevant. First is right here. So, sharing, cross-posting. Traditionally on Facebook, whether it's on your personal page or on the page that you manage, if you see content that you like and you would like to publish to either your personal newsfeed or your page, you would share it. Cool, that's how it's been done a very long time. But there's new ways to do that. Some clunky things with sharing are that it basically copies the post. That's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. And there are times that you want to show that that's not your content. Excuse me, it gives you a little bit of distance from the content. But if you are trying to integrate your media and also use yourself as a media provider, a tool provider for the organizations in your community, there are new ways to do this, which will streamline it. I'll leave that up there for just a little bit, but this presentation will be available later, so even if you're not taking notes or you don't want to read all that, no worries. But cross-posting is a cleaner version of this, and it's very different, although it doesn't look like it on the surface. Cross-posting, if you can see this, so we are Benelux. We have a garrison, USAG, United States Army Garrison Benelux, and we work with them very closely. So if you see on the left here, USCG Benelux shared AFN's video. So this is a travel video we did in our community. People really eat these up. They're a lot of fun. But they shared the video because they wanted to talk about some trips that they have coming up in their community. So you've seen this screen before. You see here, they shared it, and it has the original post attached, and it shows whatever AFN did with it. That's fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's a little bit clunky. If you look over here on the right, this video has suddenly become the garrison's video, and they are able to package this however they want. So they took our travel video that we did, and we produced and did whatever we did with it, and they have packaged it with information about trips in the community that the garrison is involved in, trips that other organizations are involved in, and they've used it for their audience. Now, one thing I want to note, you'll see that it says with organizations. They elected to tag some organizations, and they elected to give us a shout out. That wasn't required or anything. But this is what it will look like, and this is why it's different. If you go to your Facebook page, and this will be AFN Benelux's, and you go to Settings. There is a new feature here, a new tab right here called Cross-Posting. You may not have ever noticed this before or thought to click on it. This is something that's been around for a while, but in its initial iteration, it only was for internal business organizations. This feature is actually used widely right now by other media institutions to get their content to different places. So let's see what this does. First, you'll notice that we, as AFN Benelux, have already, ahead of time, because we're very excited to work with you, we have added all the AFNs in the Europe region at least, and we've added a few in some other places. What we've really done here is worked with the community organizations here that we have, and we use this relationship establishment to give them our content. So if you want to get started on this, and you see we have our garrison, our MWR, healthcare facility, and NATO, other things like that. All you have to do is find the page that you want to add, and you add them. So AFN Stuttgart, right there. You click on it, and I believe I've already done this, but maybe I haven't. You click on it, and they pop up. When you first do this, remember, only 2 admins can make this relationship. So I am an admin on my page. So I just added AFN Stuttgart, and as you can see, a different day here, I've added AFN Europe. However, there's a notification here that the page has not added me. It's very important to note because I think people that hear about this concept, I've noticed they kind of worry, wait, does this mean that you can publish on my page? No, it doesn't. Admins establish the relationship. Even if 2 admins on 2 separate pages establish these relationships together, nothing happens at that point, nothing at all. It just makes the relationship. I'll get into authorizing content later, but at that point, no content has been shared at all. So let's just say AFN Europe here, I've been given, just for a short period, access to AFN Europe's page. So I am currently, just for a short time, AFNE's admin on their page. So I'm going to hop over here to AFN Europe. And if I go to Settings on AFN Europe's page, and I go down here to Crossposting, you'll notice no one's here. And that's because this is all evolving. But if I type in AFN Benelux, and I add them, you'll notice that that message that you saw on the prior screen is not here, that you saw here with AFN Europe. And if I refresh this page, which I will, that message should go away. Yep, and you will see right here, AFN Europe, it got rid of that notification that the page has not added you, because we just did. So, AFN Europe has a cross-posting partner, that's AFN Benelux, and now AFN Benelux has AFN Europe as a cross-posting partner. At this point, that doesn't mean anything. What it does mean is that I can authorize content. No content has yet been shared. So if I go back to AFN Benelux, and I go to Publishing Tools, and I go to our video library. So first thing, before I get into this, you'll notice there are some new icons here that if you are actively engaging your community, hopefully you're seeing a lot of these, used in 7 posts, used in 2 posts, 4 posts, 5. This means that members of our community are using our content in whatever way they need to for whatever message they're packaging. And this is good. This is good for you. This means you're interfacing well with your community. So let's say there's a video that I want to authorize AFN Europe to be able to cross-post. Recently we had some rather fun events in our community. There's this tradition in Belgium where people play a game. It's kind of the precursor to golf. So let's just say, for the sake of this presentation, that we want to cross-post that video with AFN Europe. Now, AFN Europe could always share this video, but cross-posting will look very different. So I'm AFN Benelux right now. I can click on Edit Video, or, which is the slower way, but it still does the same thing, I can check it, and I can go to Actions, and I can click Edit Video. But honestly, this button right here is super convenient. So if you click on this video, this is the Edit Video page. Hopefully you are very familiar with this page. This is where you can add your titles, your metadata tags, which always remember, for those who maybe don't do as much social media engagement, nobody sees these. This is just to help target your audience. This right here, this cross-posting tab, is brand new, relatively. If you click on it, this is where I, as a page admin, now an editor can do this too. Once the relationship is established, all the people authorized on your page as editors also can authorize content. Editors cannot establish cross-posting relationships. Editors can only authorize content for sharing. So if I go down and authorize AFN Europe for this content and click Save, and then I hop to AFN Europe, and I go to Publishing Tools on AFN Europe, I want you to notice, I'm sure AFN Europe, which we all know they do, has a great video library full of content. But there's a tab here that's relatively new, and there should only be one thing on here. This is videos you can cross-post. What I just did as AFN Benelux is essentially authorize AFN Europe to use our content however they need to use it. So this is what's so exciting about this is it's a localization tool. It lets you take content that has been developed and push it to your audience and allow organizations in your specific communities to use it however they need. So if you have a video on like flu shots or something, let your healthcare facility, your local one, use it if you have one, and they can package it and they can talk about, hey everybody, we've got this great flu initiative coming up, and they're going to know the people in the video because it came from your AFN. It works well. So check this out. I'm currently AFN Europe, and I click on this video. This screen will pop up. It has a number of things on this screen. This is a preview of the video. You could watch the video if you wished. This will tell you how long it is, when it was uploaded, and who cross-posted it to you. Now, one thing I want to note, because I've had people ask me this, clicking Create Post with this video publishes nothing. Admittedly, I think Facebook wording is a little confusing there. This takes you to a new screen. It does not publish anything. So I'm going to click it, Create Post with this video. You recognize this screen. This is the video edit screen. This basically just took that video that, as AFN Benelux, I cross-posted to AFN Europe and made it AFN Europe's content now. So AFN Europe, you'll note very quickly first, does not have a cross-posting tab. So that is one limitation or advantage of this feature depending on your perspective, but as the cross-postee, not the publisher of the original content, I cannot cross-post this content further. I can only use what was sent my way. So by default, Facebook will take the original caption and throw it up in there. You do not have to use that original caption unless it makes sense for what you're doing. In fact, if you were using this with your local community organizations, I would recommend that they don't, or you kind of coach them on this, that they package this however they want. You don't want to just repeat your caption. We've seen this happen with some videos we had for Money Saves Week. We authorized them for different organizations. MWR used it to talk about different classes that were going on. Airman Family Readiness Center deleted our caption and talked about a big event that they have at their community. So you should coach your organizations that they can delete those captions or keep what they need or want and do that. Here's what's really interesting. I can change the title now as a cross-postee. So I'm currently AFN Europe. If I wanted, I could title this, instead of Corsage 2017, which in my community in AFN Benelux makes a lot of sense, AFN Europe can talk about amazing opportunities in Europe, travel things, or whatever makes sense for the AFNE marketing team. You can actually change the title of this. Where this gets even more exciting is the video retains all of its original metadata tags, but I can delete these tags and I can add ones that are relevant to my audience. So we've seen this work very well with our MWR, with our healthcare facility. They will insert their own metadata that makes sense for their audience. So they're going to reach people who care about their content. I can tag whatever pages or people make sense for that post. I can check in wherever I need to check in. And you can do handshaking tools, all the normal things. This basically makes this your own post. You can even create your own custom video tags. You can use your own screens, everything you do with a normal video. Now, I'm not going to publish this on AFNE's page, but let's say I edited this content. Fun edit of caption, great. So I can schedule this, I can draft it. One thing I will tell you for people who regularly use Facebook, save as unpublished is draft. I don't know why they use different wording. Save as unpublished, we'll put that right into your draft slot. Same thing. So let's just save that as a draft. If I go up here to Publishing Tools and Drafts, there's quite a few. And here you will see the one that we just created with my lovely caption here, I'm sure you're enjoying. And from there, I can go back and edit it and do what I need to do if you have a team of people who review your content. Now, you can schedule these things. You can publish it right away. It's very easy to do. What we found, we have had to sit down with community organizations and kind of show them how to do all this, but once we showed them and once they got comfortable, they ran with it. Our healthcare facility loves doing this, our MWR does this all the time. And I'll hop to Benelux's page here. We have authorized them for all kinds of content for videos. So here's one video used in 7 posts. This is exciting because this allows you to see where in your community you're hitting, who cares about your content in your community, how they're using it. So this video, admittedly, rather simple little video here for saving money. It was an older video, but we already had it produced. Why do it again? So we authorized it for cross-posting, and our MWR used it, and our garrison used it for whatever events they have. And I don't even know what all these posts are because they packaged it however they want. You can see in here what percentage of your total views they were, where you're getting heavy hitters. So tri-border community here, I know for a fact, and I know you don't know our communities probably, but they had some big events and they pushed this video really hard, and those people stuck around longer for it. It gives you access to those kind of metrics as well. It really lets you integrate with your community. So I've been talking for a while. Does anyone have any questions? Sure. There we go. Let's check it out.
Now, can you go in and click to see those actual posts that they've cross-posted?
So what you can do, you mean like if I authorize a page? So what Senior Master Sergeant just asked is if I can actually see the posts that a different page has posted on my page. So the answer is yes. Let me go here. Video library.
1, 2.
Military saves. Sure, we'll use this one. So if I click on this post, it takes me right there, and you can see how, in this case, the tri-border community packaged it. So that's our video, and our local garrison is using this to talk about, and I'm going to learn with you here, easy saves, something automatic, get started today. So they're talking about MyPay. Cool, that's what they wanted to talk about. They erased our caption and did what they wanted to do with it. We have found in our community, this has really helped us integrate into our local organizations. I'll show you MWR has actually done some really fun stuff with this in our community as well. The garrison used this, I think. This is something we did for African American Black History Month. And here, they used it, one of our garrison pages used this to talk about an event they had. We don't care about getting credit for that. Our content is still there. We're being useful to our local community. And they were, I cannot tell you how ecstatic they were with this. Did that answer your question, Senior Master Sergeant?
Is this on already? Okay, Specialist Richmond, AFN Europe, social media team. My question is, for the long run analytics, how am I going to pull this up, or how is my team going to pull this up without knowing which individual video has been cross-posted?
So, you mean of your whole library?
Yes.
So let's go into, I'm going to use AFN Benelux page because we have done more of these at this point. So if I go into video library, not every video we have has been cross-posted. Some have, some haven't. And some videos we know will be relevant for certain audiences and other audiences just won't care. So I don't authorize everything for every page. So here we have Day Voyage right here. Video was used in 2 posts. You can see here your analytics on that. The garrison used it, we used it, and you can go in here at any time to edit video, click on cross-posting, and you can see all of the organizations individually that you have authorized. You can deauthorize a page at any time, but it wouldn't make sense to do that unless you made a mistake. But was that your question?
No, I apologize. I was talking more of numbers.
Analytics. Yeah. Okay. Anytime you click on one of these, if you are in your video library page, click on any video, and assuming that you have cross-posted it, you can go right in here and see which post brought what to your actual video. You can even get deeper into the analytics, people who are more familiar with that. You can see in there how many minutes are viewed, and you will be able to see how many came from your cross-posted, how many came from your shared, your owned.
You're answering my question, but I'm thinking the more broad aspect of it. Are these numbers going to pull? Because you know, if you share something, I don't get all the numbers off of your shared post. with the cross-posting, am I going to gather those numbers as well? Will those count as our numbers?
They are. It's your content. It's being used and repackaged. The key to this entire feature is to kind of reorient how we're thinking about delivering content to our communities. Because if you make content that is more universal, and your videos can be used, and they talk about, let's say, initiatives instead of events, your healthcare facility can throw up there whatever they want about a video you've done. Let's use this one. This is a travel video. We have a travel group. We have Shape Trips and Tours. They both can use this content. You get all of the numbers. You get all of the metrics. You can see that. You can go directly into each post that has been used with this video. It'll open up right here, and you can see their views, and you'll see where they came from. Is that?
Yes. So now we're sharing the numbers instead of it
Absolutely.
just being individual.
And this is great for analytics for both pages. Now, the cross-postee does not get to see the majority of the metrics. The publisher does. But the cross-postee can use those metrics because they're part of their community. So if AFN Benelux shares with AFN Aviano, and let's say we cross-post a video to Aviano, Aviano shares it in their community. Those metrics are being used by their community, absolutely part of their community. Those metrics help our videos boost as well. The difference too with this, with sharing versus cross-posting, is that with sharing, it's cloning your post. So it's creating a whole new post. It doesn't benefit as well from the algorithmic growth and the virality of the posts. Does that answer your question?
Class Erica Giat, AFNE social media team. So from my understanding is the posts are individually, what's the word I'm looking for? They're individually approved to be cross-posted.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the posts aren't, the content is.
Correct. So my content is going to be used by other pages, but without the thread linking back to me.
So that's a debate that some people will have. For us, as the place that we've found ourselves in our community, we don't care about the credit because the analytics still come back to us. So we can see the reach and impact that we're having. We want to serve our local community. So if some of our organizations, which we've told them is fine, if our garrison uses our content and they don't necessarily tag us as the producer of it, that's okay with us because we're still providing a service to them.
Perfectly fine by me as well, but the point I'm trying to reach here is, although I have to individually approve each video for cross-posting and I am able to handpick those relationships, if at some point I disagree with the usage of the content that I have provided to those individuals, will there still be a link to myself where I have the approval to go in and take that down because that's not what I represent?
Yes. Let's say that's happened. Just for the sake of this training video, let's say AFNE has gone wild with this travel video that we've authorized them. So AFN Benelux says, oh, geez, that's not great. So I can go in here, and I can go to this travel video right here. You go back to edit video. You go back to cross-posting, and I will deauthorize, as soon as I find it, AFN Europe.
And then we'll delete it from their page.
Yeah, I think actually this isn't the right one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so here, I'm going to go back to AFN Europe. Videos you can cross-post. Oh, it was the chalet video. My apologies here. Chalet. Okay, so this is the one. This is the one they already created a post with. AFNE has already created a post. If I deauthorize AFN Europe and I don't like what they've done with the content, I can say by removing this permission, and it'll unpublish that post on their page. That's power. So you have to be careful how you do this. Because if one of your organizations does go rogue and says something completely wild, you still have the ability to take that post down. That has advantages and disadvantages, and that's something that our teams will have to discuss together as we do this internally with AFN. But it does give you power in your local community, just in case a social media manager page on some travel group went a little wild. Does that answer your question?
That does, thank you.
So I'll absolutely communicate with them. I'll show you what that does on the other end. Let's say I did just deauthorize this. If you remember on AFN Europe's page, we have a saved draft of an already created post. If I refresh this, it's still here, but they can't do anything with it. They know that at one point it existed, but they can't do anything.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. So this has been a unique thing, and we've been doing this for a short time at our community, and we've seen this really do well with our local organizations. We now are talking, obviously, here today with AFN about doing this internally with our organizations. Part of this is, let's say AFN, who wants to volunteer an AFN here? Just a hand. AFN Kaiserslautern makes this amazing video about, let's say, July 4th. If you make a video about July 4th, Kaiserslautern, and the video is about the big Kaiserslautern celebration that went down on this date, and you make it super local about all of these things that happened on this day, and you authorize it for other pages, that's absolutely fine, and other pages can use it. But it's not quite as useful as if you talk about Kaiserslautern and what you've developed here over the years with July 4th, and you make it less specific, and you put the specificity in your packaging. That's something that different AFNs will have different orientations to, because we all develop our products differently. But what it can allow people to do is, like we have, I think we did like a vaccine video that was just promoting, hey, get your vaccines. Why should any AFN produce one again when we have that? Use our content. You know what I mean? Internally as an organization. If we have, not every video is cross-postable. Not everything, you're going to have local events and things like that. But if you're able to develop some of this content and put the specificity in the packaging, not necessarily in the actual content, it makes it more universal. And it allows us in a changing environment with resources to still have the ability to have our content reach. Questions? Yeah, I'm sure. Have we had any on the page? No. Thank you, Tech Sergeant, for the shout out there. So I haven't seen any questions outside of this room yet. Does anyone in here have other questions?
You talked a little bit about how this would work in a community. How do you see it working in the network?
The AFN network?
Yeah.
So Mr. Vadnais just asked about how this could work in the AFN network. I think that this would help us help each other. If one of you at a different AFN is producing wonderful, great content and you cross-post it, what we have learned at our station to do, and this is something we're still figuring out, by no means do we think we have the answer, is we're trying to not put dates in things for two reasons. One, we can, if it's a yearly event, which a lot of our things are, we can use it the next year. But two, if you don't put dates and you make it a little less specific and all the dates and all the specificity goes in the packaging, and I have something relevant, another AFN or another network can use it. And maybe it doesn't make sense that you would say, hey, at AFN Benelux, they have this big thing going on. But it does make sense that you could package an event like that and talk about there's all these opportunities in Europe going on, especially if you're producing content that is initiative-driven and not event-driven. I think it really can allow us to help and support one another with the content that we have. Plus, it's a nice way to be able to communicate with different AFNs and say, hey, we have this thing we're working on. Do you think you could use this? Oh, great, I'll send it your way. Does that answer your question, Mr. Vadnais? Okay. I think I just saw a question pop up. So Tech Sergeant Sikora just asked that it isn't the point of this presentation about how we're doing this. We're using TriCaster software with 2 or 3 different feeds. Admittedly, I was not deeply involved in that setup, so our techs would have to help answer that for you. But it is an actual TriCaster box that is allowing these different feeds to come together. So I will tell you straight up, this has absolutely changed the way that we are engaging. Oh, it's the thing we talked about, the meta. What did you call it? Inception, faceception. I'm seeing myself here live. I'm going to get off that screen because that's trippy. But no, honestly, this has absolutely revolutionized how we are engaging with our local community. It has reinvigorated in a way, I was actually astonished by how much our local organizations are excited to work with us, how much they are using our content to market their events. The reality is on Facebook. If I'm a little organization that is having their little event, not to belittle them, but their reach is small, and they type up whatever they type and promote their event, and they throw that on Facebook. Text posts don't get a lot of natural organic virality in their posts. If you have media attached, instant boost in how much reach that they get as an organization. If we have a library of content that we authorize them to use, and they're like, I have this event coming up, and it's a big barbecue cookout, and we have maybe a 4th of July cookout video. I don't think we have that, but let's just say we did. And I authorize one of those organizations to use it. They can be like, hey, we got a cookout today. We keep it real here in the community, or whatever they want to say. And it has changed the way our community works with us. We get requests now for videos. Hey, do you have any video on July 4th? Have you ever done a video on this? And I'll look through the library. Yes, I have. I will authorize that for you. And they use it. It's done wonders.
My next question is,
On that, does it have to be something that you've already posted?
No, that is a wonderful question. So Senior Master Sergeant asked if, they can hear you, right? Okay, let's assume. Senior Master Sergeant asked if I have content, and we actually saw this last week. I have an example of this just recently. So we had some military saves videos. They were older videos that I found and we kind of reinvigorated here. So we scheduled for Military Saves Week. We had 6 of them. We had one scheduled Friday, the week before, and then Monday through Friday, the week of Military Saves Week. So what we had 6 scheduled. Before I actually ever posted any of these on our page, I authorized each of those videos for all the relevant organizations. And before we ever published our own video, they already had published it with their own thing. In some of them, some of our organizations are more social media savvy. Some had done their own scheduling of our posts. And what we saw on some of these, and admittedly I don't remember which one did what, some of them you actually had far more reach than us because they were using it ahead of time. And I know one of our MWRs on one of these videos had a really big event, and they used our video as their main marketing tool for that event. And that had, I think, like 70% of our views for that video, even though they posted it, I think, 4 days before we did. So absolutely, if it's scheduled or drafted, it just has to be an uploaded video. You can authorize it for cross-posting, even if your page never publishes it. So one thing, some limits of this, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Some limits of this feature that are evolving. So before I came here, this has been something our AFN's been pretty excited about. And I got to shout out, it would be remiss, Senior Airman Andrew Carroll out there did a great job with this. He's a lot of the brains here. In the tech blogs that are talking about these features, it looks like this is going to evolve and get wider and bigger. I'm hoping this comes to photo content when we make great graphics that we could just cross-post with organizations. That's a rumor, admittedly, but that would be nice if that happens. For now, it's just video content. And unless it's changed since about 3 or 4 days ago when I last checked this out, as it is now, retroactively, you can only cross-post back to about March of 2016. That's just a limitation of an evolving feature. That's not Facebook saying you can't cross-post your old things. To get around that, which we did with these military saves videos, we re-downloaded them in HD, and then we scheduled them for that week of military saves. But we cross-posted them before we posted them. We had to re-upload them because they were older than a year. I am hoping, and the rumor mills, at least in the tech blogosphere, say that eventually we'll be able to cross-post older content. But for now, I'm not willing to wait. So it was relevant for that week, so we re-uploaded it. But that is to say, I know right now it only goes back a year, but your content that may be great content that's older than a year, if it's relevant to what you're doing, you can repost it. Nobody's scrolling through your whole feed for a year saying, how dare you post this twice? And one thing, too, that isn't necessarily directly related to cross-posting that some people may not realize is when you click on these videos, you don't have to share or re-upload a video to reuse it. So I've realized that some people don't know this. You can click on any video you have and say create post with this video. And when you do that, it consolidates all of your metrics and allows you to still, here, I'll just show you, still use it. It creates a brand new video post without having to share it. Does that make sense? So some people don't know that, just a side note, but questions?
Staff Sergeant Archiquette with AFN Regional Media Center. Now, say you post a video on Facebook, and for some reason you need to go back and edit it. Say you put a graphic in there wrong, or somebody's name wasn't correct. You go through, you delete that, you go back and post another one. Now, will that cross post reflect that edit, or will you have to actually go back and relink a new post?
Let's say you post a video and you need to change something in it, you would re-upload a different video file. It would be considered an entirely different entity. So if you had to delete the original video, any cross-post authorizations on that video you made would be deleted if you deleted the video.
So would the original video then just be a dead link, or will that go away?
So as we saw on the AFN Europe page, I've never been in that specific situation, but my assumption would be it would look very much like that. But that's going to be true with cross-posting or just native on your own page. If you have to re-upload a video, it's a completely separate file. You can't replace a video once it's posted. It would have to be a brand new video. You can change the caption image or the selected image after, but you can't change the video itself. So my hope is this has, and I won't iterate this again, but this has done wonders in our community. I want to push this to all of you. Take this home to your AFNs. Get in there with your organizations. The real talk is this is what we do for a living. We're on social media. We're on radio. Half of our days are on social media and radio. I often wonder what our radio shows would be like without social media. We have people messaging us all the time on our radio show and whatnot, and it's a great part of this. A lot of them don't know social media as well. Admittedly, when you start this in your communities, assuming you're into this, you probably will have to sit down with them and coach them. You may have some very social media savvy people. Great. They'll still have to kind of see some of this. I have a presentation, which I'm sure Mr. Madness will help me upload somewhere that will be useful for you all that you can go through. That is my death by PowerPoint that I promise I won't make you do. But you can use that and send it to people because it's kind of an instructional just on how to do all of this step by step by step by step. I have, I'll just briefly show you. I have instructions on every possible step you could ever need. So I'll make that available for everyone. But if you get this off the ground in your community, not only will you be better inserting yourself into the community itself, but you are making yourself more important in the community, it's done wonderfully. One thing too, as AFN Benelux, and I don't know how it works in other communities, we've kind of become the lubricant between a lot of different organizations. This is a great way, if you don't have a lot of pull in your community, to begin to build those relationships. So. Questions? I think I had some from the page there. We'll do Tech Sergeant. So I presented this to NATO recently, big NATO, and they kind of freaked out, the good freak out. And NATO is now doing this, and they really do this well within their organization. And they actually use this frequently, and I would love to see AFN kind of take off with this. This is going to have to be discussed. SOPs, I'm sure, will have to be developed, but it works very well. And as you can see, AFN Benelux is here. We happily await cross-posting relationships with all of our partner pages. And I just did mostly, I think, AFNE pages. We're, of course, always happy to work with AFNP as well. So. I am loquacious. I can keep talking if no one has questions. But if no one does, I don't have anything else. You can clap, sure. Thank you. If there's one takeaway, though, I would encourage you to look at this as a community integration tool. That's what this has worked very well for us as. And we can use this to help one another as well, but this is great for your community. Thank you.
Thank you.